Hi, my name's Callum, and the purpose of this video is to explain and summarize my chapter's problem, key points, and takeaway messages. Let's begin. I did my Wikiversity chapter on the understanding and management of disgust. I've got my table of contents. Here's a link to this video. Firstly, I went into what disgust actually is. You see, a lot of people think that disgust is a word that describes a facial expression, but it's much more than that. It can also refer to moral disgust, as in being deeply disturbed by something on a moral level, which I've gone into here. I then go on to outline evolutionary theory of disgust and how the process of natural selection has slowly developed it. Then disgust has been labelled as an emotion of its own by several notable psychologists, notably Paul Ekman, Robert Plutchik, and W. Garrod Parrott. Ekman listed disgust as part of his list, so we can see he has just 6 to begin with disgust being one of them. Then in 1990, he expanded upon the list, adding these ones here. I go into his criticisms and strengths, and lead into Robert Plutchik, who made a list of his own, but went a step further by exploring how different emotions interacted with each other. You see, we have 8 basic ones, disgust being among them, and 8 more advanced ones, which come from combining combinations of these 8 basic ones. See, for example, optimism, anticipation, and joy. So you got like a secondary bunch. So this one we've just got a long list of primary. Here we've got primary emotions coupled with secondary ones. Whereas W. Garrod Parrott went one step further again by putting them into a table. As you can see, there are 6 basic emotions, which can be divided into secondary emotions, and each one of those can be divided again into tertiary emotions. Which, and then down here, I've got strengths and weaknesses. Oh, the strength is the weakness. Yeah, I say the strength is that because it's so detailed, it doesn't leave anything out, but at the same time, you can also get emotions that are like very similar, like thrill and exhilaration. There's not a huge difference between a lot of them, which could also be seen as a weakness. See. I then have a look at cognitive theory, namely the 2-factor theory of emotion, which I've included a link there. This theory was tested in a study which concluded with these 3 points, which I summarize if they're a little bit wordy, like this one. It investigates the physiological side of disgust combined with the cognitive processes to get to the labeling of the emotion. Not necessarily disgust, but an emotion. Then I go on to gender differences. Just a brief look. Got a picture of a woman here, disgusted by, I'm not sure whether it's the food or this guy here, but apparently women have been found to report stronger feelings of disgust than men, according to heart rate, electrodermal activity, salivary cortisol, and secretory immunoglobulin A, which I've got links to if you don't know what those are, as well as a quote from their conclusion. Moving on to physiology, pointing out the insular cortex, which is where in the brain is activated when you're experiencing disgust. Go into the physical symptoms, like reduced blood pressure, heart rate, and so on. And a study which investigated in further detail the brain structures that are involved in disgust as distinct from fear. And they found that, the insular cortex is the only one that's highly significantly correlated with subjective ratings of disgust.